Hello. Testing, testing. Oh, I see something on my console. Hello and welcome to my first live stream. In this live stream, I'm going to hopefully be implementing animations as assets so they can be loaded from files, and so that you don't have to do the resource trick that I was doing of saving them and then like reaccessing them by a resource. Instead, you'll be able to load them as assets and then pass handles around, so you won't have to update things like the timing and stuff like that. So I guess we'll start pretty simple. I don't suspect to get very many live viewers, mostly because I'm doing this in the middle of the day where I am, and that means that most of my viewers will be in sleep and you know, or at work because it's a Monday. But I've got the house to myself, so I figured it's a quiet time to do a little bit. And hopefully you enjoy and learn something if you're watching the VOD. So, or you catch me live next time. To start, we'll make a module. What do we want to do? Make a module loader. We'll make it in its own folder. Nope, that's incorrect. That's not what we want to do. We want to create it like that, move you in there, rename you mod. Okay, so just keep our workplace nice and tidy. So we'll go with a pub struct animation loader. Don't think it'll need access to anything that it can't get access to from the file, so we won't actually need anything. So it's just a marker struct. We will use Bevy prelude, and then we will get on to implementing as loader for animation loader extensions. I don't know what we'll call the animations, so we'll go something like sprite animation, like SAN dot ron. Character there. So that tells the asset loader that it will load the assets. And I've also realized we should probably move first to making the actual asset itself. So I'm gonna go on here and generate a UUID on my other monitor. Come on, generate. Right. So a sprite animation is going to need. It's really getting complicated, isn't it? So just trying to think this out. Probably should have planned this, but as I said, it's just sort of an impromptu stream. So what we are going to do is we're going to modify this. So we're going to have a struct, and it's going to be called a sprite animation. For now, we'll call it asset because we don't want it to conflict with the one we already have, but eventually we'll be removing that one and using this one. So we're going to need the length of the animation, the frame time, which is actually going to be a timer. I think. No, I probably actually don't want to be a timer. We'll make it a frame. We'll keep that as an F32 now, and when you actually update the asset, it'll change the timer so that it's much easier to edit at runtime. And so you don't have like a timer that's already partly ticked when you change it. Okay, so next. We need to go texture, which is going to be a handle to a texture atlas. And then inside here, we're going to need, we'll just remove this beginning. We'll say this is an animation asset, and this will have a string representation here. And we are going to change this to a usize and be FPS. Oh. And FPS. The idea of this is that when we load it from a file, we will load in such a way that we have different format that you can type into a file, so you won't have to know the frame, like the length of a frame. Instead, you provide the FPS. The type checker, when it loads, will make sure that you've put in an actual valid FPS, and then it will convert it. We could also have that be an optional trait, and then have the serialization process strip out the trait if it's missing. So we want to derive, so we want to use probably, okay, I don't have 30 in here. So we want to say 31. Go to our asset loader, go to 30. We have to wait for the Rust compiler to grab it, but we can go serialize and deserialize. I'll correct those names if they're wrong later. Let me do that while we just wait for so we'll put serialize and deserialize on this. Let's go back to our animations here and go, what do we actually need when we add an animation to our sprite sheet? Animate sprite. So we need a texture atlas sprite, which I don't think changes. Sprite animation and frame time. So sprite animation is double up frame time. Alright, so in our loader, okay, expected a semicolon. Alright, so I get that right. Alright, so this needs to go serialize and deserialize as its traits so that we can load it and unload it from the file. Sprite animation. So it's the sprite animation asset. We need to go here. We need to derive from type UUID. Then here we say UUID. Nope, that's, I copied it, but then I've copied something else. So copy that, paste that. Alright. Why are you panicking? Oh, is it? So it needs UUID equals. Okay. So that should allow that to be an asset. We want to go to our animation things here and say dot add asset, and this will be our animation. No, it says sprite animation. Okay, and then we want to go dot add asset loader, except we want to go like init asset loader, and then we go loader asset loader. Then we go here and say that you need to default, just so that the other system works. Okay, we'll go load and say to do, so that this shuts up for a second. Okay, so when we do this, we want to add some kind of change detection bottom here. So we're going to say fn detect. We update sprite depend okay, so we'll do that, and then we need to go query, probably a mutable query actually, for the for a handle to an animation sprite animation asset. So we need access to our asset. We're going to need access to our frame time. So that doesn't go in there. That goes there. This goes in here, and then we need it to be only on changed frame animation changed handle sprite animation asset. Right, we need access to your texture atlas. A handle to a texture atlas. And this be mutable too. Okay, so only if that handle changes do we want to check an update. We'll also need mutable access to the sprite sheet. On the sprite sheet bundle, it's the sprite. What is it called? This one. What do we grab? Sprite animation texture atlas sprite. We will need mutable access to our texture atlas sprite 2 so that we can reset the index if it is too high. Okay, then we're going to need access to our animations, which is going to be a resource yeah, thanks Zach, good to have you here. I'm glad at least one person showed up for watching my live stream. I didn't know how it was going to turn out with doing it in the middle of the day, so you know, with half of my YouTube base being in the other side of the planet, but at least someone's made it. We're going to want assets, and what assets do we want? We want sprite animation assets. So we use that to get access to the underlying data so that we can actually apply it. So then we're going to go 4, and we're going to need the animation underscore handle. Then we're going to need the frame time, the Atlas p.m. Yeah, I mean, close to midnight. It's 12:30 p.m. I guess. Is it p.m.? I don't know. 12:30 in the afternoon. Brain melts with midnight stuff like that because it's p.m. for me, but it's like 14 hours difference because, you know, Australia time. So we have our Atlas and our Sprite. Okay, and then in to be perfectly honest, how do I learn more advanced topic is just I brute force it, get really angry, and then like read the documentation. Sometimes that doesn't work because the documentation isn't very clear. Like some of the stuff that I've done, like if I just quickly go to my game, Untitled Dinosaur game, I'm trying to re-implement my hexagon loading code. This is my original one. And most of this is just me sort of copying what Bevy does for its dynamic scene loading and how it goes into using the dynamic loading of assets. So I basically was reading through that and trying to implement it myself. And then I also had to look at something else. I don't remember what project I was copying, but their loading, because they had dynamic loading as well, is like how I've got this box pin async move and then immediately loading a different thing, calling a wait, wrapping it okay. All that's copied from some other project that someone else had working that I also think they've hacked together because, as you can see in my new version, I've written it much nicer where I'm sending the serializer across or the deserializer rather than just straight up the bytes. And then I'm unwrapping it in a match statement so that I can report the error immediately instead of, you know, passing it down and then reporting it back up. And I also don't need to wrap this in OK because this itself returns a result, which means that I don't have to wrap it and I don't have to like unwrap it and rewrap it, which is probably going to get caught by the compiler and removed, but just looks so much uglier than and like harder to read. So it's just a lot of like find someone else's open source project that they've done or just try to hack it together and read the compiler errors and sort of try and chase them down and see what other people have done. Rust is really good with its compiler errors that if you go into someone else's project, I've read someone else's messages. I've lost my train of thought. So, like, yeah, if you go and break someone else's code, you can see what the compiler error you get so that it tells you like why they've done certain things like wrapping and unwrapping. 2 M's in component. I just read the next person's message and it just threw my head. ADHD makes it really hard to multitask sometimes. You just lose track of thought. Anyway, so in our query, we want to go through. And we want to say let our animation equal animations.get. We'll wrap this in some. No. Yeah, it really is like if you see someone else has done it, go see how they did it. And what I found really useful is going and looking at multiple different people. It's like look at someone who's got something complicated working, and then go and look at someone who's written something really nicely, like it's all laid out lovely. Like the Bevy editor, please. His documentation, like his code layout, like the structure of his repository, is incredible for learning like how you should lay out your Rust so that it's easy for someone else to go and find what they're looking for. Whereas some of the other projects I've gone through, like I'm saying, they've got things wrapped and then they're calling question mark, and it's like, well, why are you doing that? Especially when your return type is exactly the same type that you are now unwrapping and then wrapping again. It makes the code much harder to read. So it's, someone, like I watch a lot of Zoding videos, and he does a very much approach of just get it working, then make it look pretty. And that's one of those things. Like, look at his for how to do something. Like, he's really good at teaching how to learn because he shows you like get it working aspects first, and then look at someone who's written really elegant code. Like, that's my favorite thing when I'm on the forums, is someone's like, oh, I can't get this working. Here's my repository, and they've got this beautifully laid out code, and it's really easy to find the error. But you can tell why they've hit a problem is because they're like not doing something because it doesn't look nice. Like you could have just solved it in 30 seconds if you just hacked multiple words in there and then tried to work out how to do it with Rust built-in stuff. Like I have a lot of unwrapping else's, like if let else stuff, because I didn't know about the .or and the and then methods that do that just under the hood. So you can learn a lot by just going through and well-documented code and seeing things where you'll notice the pattern, and then you'll notice that like you would have had to write 6 or 7 lines, and they've got like a little helper function that does it for them. What was I doing else? We then write. We then, I guess, return. I don't actually know if Bevy's asset errors have default ones. Let's have a look. Message. We can just say a message and just say animation not found. Okay, and then we want to get our animation handle. All right. So what I've just done there is I've done a let else so that I can just return early. I need to write this in error actually. So this is one of the, I don't know if it's new, it's a couple of months old now, features that they added in one of the newer updates to Rust that lets you basically say, if let, do the rest of my code, otherwise just return early. And it's very useful for cleaning up a lot of mess because you don't have to nest, you can just return early. And then I'm just returning an error. Why is it saying expected found result? Oh, this is just a method, that's right. So we want to actually say, not return. I forgot I was not working inside the loader. I'm working in just a Bevy system. So we just want to error this. Get rid of all this, and we just say error, and then we continue the loop. So I do this a lot in systems that like apply to things that have assets, is that if I can't find the asset, I just say like didn't find it and continue doing what I was doing. Other game engines would be another really good place to look. That's what I'm saying. Like I look into how Bevy does a lot of things. Like its dynamic loading is a great place if you want to learn how to interact with Bevy Reflect, because it has to do that. Whereas other game engines may not have as nice a things as Bevy in terms of like compatibility, but they are a good spot to learn a lot of Rust. And I think that's the key thing, is to have a not to learn how to do things in Bevy, but to learn how to do them in Rust, because otherwise you'll be fighting the compiler sometimes. Whereas Bevy's quite idiomatic when it comes to Rust. So if it works in Rust, it will work in Bevy. So we let our animation equal this. And this is our animation asset, which has our frame. So can I say frame time dot 0 dot maybe a set, yeah, set duration, and then we want to say std time duration from f32 seconds, and then we want to say animation dot frame time. All right, so I didn't clear these as mute. So what we're doing here is taking the frame time that's already there. This is probably an optimization that doesn't really need to be done. I could just literally override it, like Rust is fast enough. But I always go for like easy optimization. Why make this slower than it needs to be when it's more work not to? So we take our frame time and we set its duration equal to the animation's frame time. This will also mean that if it's you have like a really slow FPS animation, you swap to a fast one, it could skip quite a few frames in. But we don't have to worry about overflow because we will take care of that in a second. Like that, our animation update, this one actually already will make sure that it can't overflow. So we don't have to worry about if like we have a 1 every 10 seconds FPS. So we say animation not found. So then we go tech-to-hours. This is something that a lot of people I think find difficult. Like I see this a lot where people are like, how do I do this? And you got to dereference your reference and then reassign the like the thing that you're assigning. If you're not changing a direct value, but the actual handle itself, you've got to dereference it first. That's an interesting thing that I think a lot of people miss. It's written in the Bevy cheat book, but it's like one of those, like, it's 2 lines that if you miss, you will have a lot of pain trying to find it. I think they actually talk about it is dereferencing and reassigning so that you can unwrap the mute and have the compile checker work, because otherwise the compile checker doesn't follow properly. And then we want to say sprite dot index. I don't know what index. Modular equals animation dot length. Okay, I think that's everything I need to get the animations working. Because you know, we take we extract the animation from our assets, we set the new duration, set the new atlas, and then set the sprite so that it's back within the range. So that if this runs after or before our change, it will not have a crash because it just indexes directly. We're going to add a system. And this is update animation components. Okay. I think that's everything we need in order to get the animation. So now the absolute fun part, which is changing our animations here, because this is the primary reason for it, is we keep a handle to the atlas and the sprite animation. So in theory, if I remove this and said now we have an animation and a handle to a sprite animation asset, and then we have to go find, we play whack-a-mole with the compiler. So it's got to be this. Yeah, so we probably want to get rid of these. I guess we can change this to being a handle and it's going to be a handle to our sprite animation asset, and then we just say handle, and then this will be the same except that it's just going to return an option to a handle sprite animation asset. Okay, then it's up here, so our map okay, so This is where you get a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. I kind of wish I knew how to do regular expressions and like quickly do this. This is one of those. Yeah, really amazing to learn that. So we need mutable access to the texture atlas. We're gonna have to like world scope again because we need 2 lots of mutable access. World, and then we're gonna need mute. What do we need? We need animation assets, which is going to be a mute assets sprite animation assets, and then we do this, and we come all the way back down to the bottom and do that. I think I need this, and then up here we need to this. Okay. So this is called our animation. So we map.add, and then instead of this, so we need to say let animation equal our sprite animation asset, and this needs the length, which in this case, so len is 11. Our frame time is 1 divided by 20, and our texture atlas is this bit. Alright, and then instead we go here, modify this, and say asset animation assets dot add animation. Oh, we need to call this texture atlas. Okay. So we should in theory be able to do this. Oh. No idea what just went ding. Oh, Discord ding. Oh, it's a Facebook ding. That's what that'll be. Ah, so unprofessional checking Facebook. Alright. Sorry about that. I just had to send a message. Finding out when I'm going to have to end the stream because people will be back. Oh, going to be my response. Alright. So then we come down here and we say do exactly the same thing, except this one is run. Because we kept the name the same. Run atlas, and then you're also 12. Oh, you can hear these dinging away. Okay, I've got a couple of hours, so hopefully the live stream won't get cut short. Here. So this one is just length of 1. We'll just give it an FPS of 1, just so that it's not constantly running excess code. We need to change this to jump. Jump, and then this would be jump atlas. Alright, so there's our jump. Go down here, and we say this one has a length of 6. This is d-jump. Double jump. Okay. The incredibly boring part of doing something extremely repetitive. And I'm aware that you're supposed to like write macros and stuff like this. Can't delete that yet. What is this? This is false. It's only 1 FPS. So length 1. We'll also turn this into FPS of 1. This is fall atlas animation. This is mask fall. This is the strawberry. So here we say strawberry. This is called strawberry atlas. Strawberry has 17. So nice long animation. I'm thinking I might just go with the approach of removing all of these, because these are just the exact same duplicates but modified for you know, each of these. I'll either do the off stream, because it's really just, you can copy this and then find and replace where it says mask with like ninja, since all the names follow a pattern. So I might just do that off stream. Now what are you doing? So you're having an issue because, alright, so the updating the players, updating the animation, which we can actually make more generic, because I don't think, well, specifically we need the player in this one still, but okay, so we don't need the atlas anymore. We need the animation, so we get rid of the atlas, and instead of the animation we need a handle to a sprite animation asset, and I don't think we need the sprite anymore, because we fix that when we update the animation. Oh no, we flipped the sprite, so we do need the sprite still. So we still need the sprite because we flip it. So we come here and we say check all these things, check all these things. So here we do the same thing. We say handle. We don't need to do this bit anymore. And then we say the animation equals handle. Okay. Might make the update animation happen either last or first, just so, like in a different system, so that it doesn't clash with changing the handle and moduloing the thing. Actually, it shouldn't matter, because if one changes before the other, it doesn't change anything. It's this one that updates it, so this one's responsible for clearing it. So we don't need access to world. I must have clicked enter at some point. So we go to our ghosts, and we do the same thing here. Is instead of texture atlas and animation, we just say handle, and then here we just say handle. Oh, we need access to our texture atlas. We can probably say texture atlas is just going to be a handle default. So basically it not have a texture atlas if it's not got one. One thing we do need to do, just because of how I'm changing my bundle a little bit, we're going to say fn add frame time, and we're going to say, just copy the same logic that this has, except we're going to need the commands. So we go to the end, we do this, and we're going to say things here. Don't know how smart Bevy's filtering is, in that if I go here and say without frame time, I'm going to change this to added. So now what we're doing, this filter, is if we just added the handle and it doesn't have a frame time, we're going to insert the frame time. So we'll actually need also entity. Entity, and we can get rid of frame time here. So then here we're going to say timer new duration, and what was it? We needed a, what's it called? A timer mode of repeating. And then we say commands dot entity dot insert. And voila. Okay. So, complaining. Why is it? Oh, we need it to be a frame time. Like so. Ta-da! Frame time. Alright, so that will mean that if we spawn it in just by attaching the handle, it will annoyingly still needs this. What we could do is remove this entirely and say that if you just added a handle, it will then insert the texture atlas. I might just do that. So basically, if you whack the handle on, we're going to bundle this up. What do we want? That was a pink, this one? Yeah, yellow. We want to say a texture. No, it's a sprite sheet bundle, isn't it? Sprite sheet bundle. So what do we actually need? We need this. That doesn't seem like the best idea because we're going to result in overwriting a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll just leave it be. I was thinking like I could make it that if you add the handle, it'll add everything it needs, which wouldn't be that hard. All you need to do is change these to be like optional, and therefore it can detect if they're not present and insert them appropriately. But that seems like it's going to be a little bit too fiddly, especially for live stream. What are we doing? What's wrong here? So you've got the same problem. We need access to the texture atlas. So this is when I'm spawning the world. See this? Yeah, this is what I mean. So if I just, in theory, again, just give you the texture atlas is just a default handle. Then when our system runs here, it will detect that we've added the strawberry. Like so. It will add the timer for us with the correct timing and update the handle. So that should, in theory, it's probably going to end up making a liar of me because I have a tendency to overestimate my abilities when it comes to this kind of stuff. But it's also how you learn, because you experiment with things that, you know, probably shouldn't work and work out how to make them work. All right, so come down here and we say handle. Oh, I spelled handle wrong. That's funny. Handle. Okay, so in theory, we still update everything. I mean, got no compiler errors, so let's just give it a run and see when it crashes. It should work fairly well. Because all we've done is just indirected where we where we update things. So hopefully it works. Have I lost stream? Got a warning. I can't tell if my stream's still going. Hopefully it's still there. OBS still says it's going fine, so apparently I'm dropping 2.7% of frames. That's fun. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, Bevy. Been oddly slow today. Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, it's just weird because I'm getting all these warnings popping up in my console saying like, oh, you're only at like half the bit rate you should have. Oh, it crashed. Okay, where did we crash? World, bit trace, handle, resource scope. Why did you... Let me guess. It'll be because in here I'm doing this. Add asset. I think that's my bug. It's basically just not initialized the resources yet, so it's crashing when it tries to run a system that requests the assets resource, or like when I'm trying to pull it out of the world to do the initialization of the next thing. Hey, okay. So we do have no image, and it's saying it's because there's no animation jump. So it's saying there's no animation jump loaded. Also, why did I get stuck jumping? That doesn't make any sense. So we did load jump. Main. Okay, so I guess idle would be a good place to start. So mask idle, and we added our animation. Oh, we probably want to add frame time as well as a system. So we need to go up to here. We want to go like change player animation. Update components. System. Add underscore frame. Time. That's what I call it, isn't it? Add frame time. So that would definitely result in an issue, but it shouldn't be the issue that we're getting because it's actually reporting an error, which means that it's not registering. It's not finding the component. Oh, well, we're perpetually stuck falling, but okay. Why are we stuck falling though? Like, no jump animation. Nope. Okay. One question is, why does he dive? That is hilarious, but a bug. So it's saying no jump animation. Where do we print that? That's in here, isn't it? No. No, we need to look for no animation. Okay. First off, why am I hard coding that? What do we want to pass in? We want to pass in animation. What did I call it? Set. Okay. You're going to tell me that set doesn't implement default debug? No. No, it doesn't implement view. Okay. So, right. I'm going to go here. I need to have debug and also clone and copy. That should fix that. And so from there, that'll actually now tell us the correct animation it couldn't find. instead of just saying the same animation every time. I think debugging is probably the slowest part in Rust because you have to keep recompiling stuff without any kind of understanding of why. So we can't seem to get the handle. Now, here's where it's interesting. I hit my own ghost. Okay, so it's saying there's no mask fall loaded, but there's mask fall. So I must have misloaded something then. Add frame time. So it's in here. We need to look for mask. Okay, so go right to the top. So this is idle. And we add mask idle. But it feels like we've loaded the wrong animation. Okay, well we definitely forgot to rename something because there's no mask fall like in here. So we have mask run. If we said fall there. So that's supposed to be full. And that's most likely just where our bug occurs. Now, as for why the let's close something randomly. So there is no fall animation. And then I'm also going to guess that the double jump I did wrong. I said you're 6 frames. So we load the double jump, we splat. I'm not quite sure. Like, what's confusing me is it's playing the correct animation, it's just stopping, which I would have thought is because I've typed in the incorrect number. I guess the other thing to check is we may have overwritten it with a second double jump. See what, like, so... I bet you that's what it is we're not going to be incrementing... they're going to kill me in a second. Okay. Player, rigid body, dynamic. Okay. Yeah. See, we're not incrementing our frame time. Dragged it too far. No animation. Ninja idle. Why? Oh, because I must have hit E. And it changes the sprite. So something's not working in our update animation here. We're not, this isn't update animation. We're not incrementing. Because we don't have this. We have a handle to our sprite animation. And then we do the same thing we did on the other ones of letting some animation equals... right, we need to get access to our animations, which is... Let's call this entities. So then we say, not this, we want to say res assets and sprite animation assets. Okay, then we say animations dot get textualize sprite. So we would want this animation. So we then want to get animation, and then we want to say else error animation not loaded. Okay, and then continue. And do that. Okay, so then from there we have exactly the same functionality that we just had, because you know, we increment the text by delta, then we sprite animation length. What is that animation length? And it should be working. Witchcraft. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Hey, look, we're idling again. Hey, look, we're walking again. Hey, look, we're spinning and we jump. No. This game, I've made it too hard. And oh, okay. Really should make the food not be able to spawn. I got a score of 4. This game's really hard. Alright, so with that, we have changed our animations, which basically means we're going to remove the whole bundle as well, because we don't actually do this anymore. We'll probably keep the bundle, but we'll call this a handle to a, you know, because none of this works anymore. So let's just get rid of the bundle. It's going to cause an error in these because they have the bundle imported, but they're not actually using it. So play up. Alright, so with that, we've moved to an asset system of accessing animations. Then we go on to loading them from a file. I think I might make FPS a F32 actually, just because if you want to say like it's actually 10 seconds per frame, you'd want to put 0.1 as opposed to, like, how would you do that with a whole number? I don't think you can. You'd have to have a symbol for it, and that's complexity. So what we need is an async fn load animation. And then you will return. You return a result of a unit or a Bevy assets error. Okay, so you will also need to take in a, so you need a okay, so we need a deserializer, which is going to be a, no, not a res, a ron. Don't think I've got ron in this project either. Okay, we're gonna run star save, and then we'll make it 8, just so that in the future something doesn't break on me. Okay, we'll probably just do that. And then we're gonna need a reference to a mute Bevy asset load context. We need to say that you take in a, and you need to have a left of d. DE. Okay, so did I spell that wrong? Deserializer. Alright, so then we need, this is going to be our context. I want to do a Bevy basics on loading context, basically because it's actually like really complicated to get done. Like even what I'm doing now, I need to like do a half dozen different things that I've just sort of learnt in order to get it to not complain with the fact that I'm using an external function. Okay, so so what I'm doing is I'm just for personal preference, because I could do it up here inside a closure box. I need a box pin async move, and then we want to call load animation. We want to say let the got distracted again. Deserializer equals a ron deserializer from bytes. Bytes. Okay. Then we're just gonna. That's why we need to match this stuff. Match. So you want a boxed future. So it's actually in here that we need to do that. So we want to match that, do that on the OK. D equals. Okay, deserializer. And then you return that otherwise on error. On error, I want you to return and Bevy assets. Really should just import this error because I use it all the time when doing this. No E. And then I think I need to wrap that in an error, don't I? Yes. Okay. So like that, and then this is load context. You need to be no, it's here. Losing my mind now. Just pressing buttons. All right, so is it working? Why? Oh, right, because you need to be dot. Oh, wait. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going, when we call load, we are creating the deserializer from the bytes, which gives us a deserializer with a lifetime of DE, which is equivalent to A. You know, just because in SerDes deserializer, DE is the lifetime of the resources that you need for deserialization. And then A is the lifetime that you have access here. So we take our bytes, we turn them into a deserializer. We then, if we get a correct deserializer, which I don't know why Ron can fail, but it can when you're getting a deserializer. So then we pass that deserializer to our load thing. Otherwise, we just return the Ron error back up. We await for our load asset to be returned. It's all inside a pin box because we need a boxed future, which you need to call pin, I believe, so that it doesn't move in memory. It prevents Rust from moving it. And then in here, we put a big fat to do to stop the compiler yelling at us constantly because we're not returning the correct type. And then from there, we have our mutable deserializer and our load context. The complexity that comes from this a lot is that the load context is how you interact with the loaded assets and allows you to like load multiple assets of different types from a single folder, and then also like make relationships between those assets so that one asset doesn't unload the other assets. So we'll start this by basically saying let our asset data equal the I guess it's animation asset dot deserialize. No, deserializer. Yeah, perfect. Can I question mark this? Why? Deserializer. No? See, you should have been the correct type, so I'm not quite sure. Dot. Okay, what if we try the other way? Deserializer dot. Deserialize. No, see, it's animation asset deserialize as deserialize takes in a deserializer, returns self. Or the deserialize type of error. Okay. Why do I not have my helper functions? The trait bound deserialize. Loader serially deserialize is not satisfied with the trait. Do you not have deserialize? Is it deserialize owned? I don't. Oh no, it's Ron. D from bytes. Result T from reader from string. Okay. Maybe we just stop being clever and just say you load animation. We're going to change you to taking in. You are going to be bytes, and you're just going to be a reference to lifetime A of an array of U8s. Okay. Now we just take in bytes, and then we take in from bytes, bytes. Okay, and then we need to declare that this is an animation asset. Okay, so from loading that, this gives us a result. So we are going to go. Can I just question mark operate this? Hey, I can. Sweet. So this will need bytes and load context and dot void. Alright. So that'll just run that. Okay. So now we have our asset data. Gotta remember how to do this fun stuff. So what we need to do is first off, so we're gonna let mute our asset, and we're gonna say you equal an animation asset? No. You're a super animation asset. And we're gonna pop up here and go sprite animation. So we're gonna get rid of this entirely and rename this to sprite animation. And then we're gonna say you don't have a new function. They're all public. Cool. Okay, so then we're gonna say this is a sprite animation. Okay, so it needs a len, which is len is going to be asset data.len. It's going to need a frame time. So its frame time is going to be 1 divided by asset data.fps. And finally, we need to do its texture atlas. Okay, so we'll do that like this, and we say let atlas equal a texture atlas new from grid. Okay, so we need to get our image handle context path get handle. Okay, so we're gonna need to let so we need to get a handle, and then so to get a handle, we need to say it's an asset data dot texture. So first off, we'll fix some spelling, and then this is not going to be tool texture out, it's going to be tool texture path. Alright, so we grab that handle, We pass that in. We got rid of that to do. We got rid of the to do. So to do. All right. Let me put this here. So now we get actual errors that we can write out. So this will give us let image underscore image underscore handle. Okay. So what we're doing is getting a handle to our image, which we then pass in here. I'm going to say image. We pass in our image handle to the grid. We say that the tile size, so we probably need to include that in our asset here. So it's going to be pub tile tile size, which is going to be, what do you want? You want a 32 because you want a what do you want? You want a vec2. I would just say a vec2, but I think that that requires enabling Bevy's serialization for that not to work. Anyway, so then we need to say asset data dot tile size. We need to say pub rows, which is a use size, and a pub. Go here. Columns. No, I missed a letter, didn't I? No. Columns, and it's also a use size. Okay, and that's going to be the same thing of being an asset data dot columns asset data dot rows. Okay, and then we're going to say padding. I'm going to say for now no padding and no offset. You just no. This should be easy enough to modify in the future to contain padding. And did I not call it rows? I call it row. Rows. Okay. So from that, we can extract the texture atlas. We then want to say context dot add set labeled asset. So the label for this is going to be atlas. Okay, so with an atlas, and then we say atlas. And this returns its handle. Sweet. So we're going to say let atlas equal that. All right. So that will set that asset. Oh no, we need to do an asset loaded asset. So it's a loaded asset. No. Wow. Okay. So we load up an asset, which returns us a texture atlas. And then we let mute asset this here, and we say our texture atlas. Did I also spell that wrong? Atlas. Okay, so then we say, I think this holds, it's just entirely incorrect. Gotta love not being able to spell. It makes these kinds of things much, much harder. Okay, so we say atlas. Okay. So we worked out that everything we needed was just this stuff. So we let our asset equal this. And then finally we say atlas, no, not atlas, context dot set default asset is asset. Oh, we need to do our asset load too. Loaded asset. Asset. Okay, and then we want to return okay unit. Expected function. Oh, right. New. So we could also, in theory, work out the length, so you don't have to specify the length. you could say that the length is the rows times columns. Might do that just for the sake of making it tidier. So u equal asset data dot rows times asset data dot columns. Okay, so that should give you that FPS. So what did we give it? Okay, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna go new folder, animations, new file, and this is going to be called mask. I think it was mask dot mask underscore idle dot san dot ron. Okay, so in theory, I think that's how you write ron. Curly braces? That's the problem with ron, is I never remember if it's curly braces or like parentheses. Usually what I do is you'll come down here. I'm gonna go here. You just write a test, and you go test fn ron, and you just say let animation equal a animation asset so we need FPS. I'm going to say it is 20 FPS. We need tile size, which is a vec to splat 32. We need rows, which is just going to be 5, and columns, which is going to be 10, just so I can see them easier. And the texture path is going to be some path slash dot to string. Then we say print line debug run to string animation. Then we just run the test. These need to be set, not a floating point number. Can I? Yeah, thank you for erroring out when in the Rust compiler found it sooner. Okay, so now maybe we want to go to. We want to probably do this nicely and go to string underscore pretty, and then we need to go run pretty config default run. Okay, well, that didn't really help. It kind of did, but also it didn't. So I would have made a mistake if I'd done that. So we do this. We do this. We say find and replace /r/n with this //r//n with \n. Oh, we redid some of this stuff. It doesn't matter. Okay. So that now becomes my amazing texture. Could do something cheeky with it, but it requires writing a custom deserializer. What you can do is, instead of deserializing like a whole list, you can deserialize instead instead of having a file for each one, I could make it so that deserializes an array, which I might do that. So what we'll do is we'll rename this to mask, and then we go here. We go back to here. We go. We need a pub. Well, no, this one's just a private struct. So struct animation assets, which is just going to be a vector of animation asset. It is going to derive these. Okay, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to say just serialize a vector of animation. No, wait, oh, it's actually, yeah, serialize a vector of animation. We don't need to have its own struct. In theory, we can just say, when you deserialize this, it's actually a vector of these. And then we should probably say animation asset. So your ID, and that's going to be a string. Alright. So your ID is a string, and then we say for asset in asset data. And then we're going to rename this. We're going to take this all the way down here. So then this would become just so convenience assets. All right. So texture path. No, that's not the no. Asset data. God damn it, it just undid it all. Anyway, we'll fix that. Asset data. Alright, so with that, okay, so we have asset data, assets, so it doesn't have an ID. And this is going to have the ID of idle. All right, to string. We could actually say maybe option. Okay, so they all need separate paths. So it would, instead of just calling them all atlas, because that would make it impossible to find, it will be a format of we need to say ID, but we're going to go if let sum ID equals asset data ID. Okay, so we're going to do all this. That one stays out there. Else. All right, so we need to put it there. This is going to be set labeled asset, which is going to be, you need the ID. So the label is just is ID. Okay. Right, what do you want? You want a reference to a string. So do I have to give you a reference to ID? Alright, so then this will take an ID and it'll set the name to asset ID. Right, we need to make this a reference. Question. Alright, is there some settings mode to make it? If you want to make it top down, all you have to do is set gravity to 0, I believe, and then, you know, because all the physics is the same, you walk into a wall, but your character won't be getting pulled down. So their gravity, just setting gravity to 0 should make it applicable for top down. The other option is to use kinematic, because kinematic doesn't get affected by gravity anyway. And again, the logic is that you walk into a wall, you don't hit wall. So yeah, that's all I know about that. Actually, Logic Projects, the video that I linked in the description, he mentioned that when he's doing his top-down with the kinematic player controller, he had to do something like change which way was up and test multiple times, or cast a shape or something, because it didn't like that you could walk into a wall upwards. It didn't seem to appreciate that. Atlas. So then we want to copy this down here. So then we'll say that this one's just called Atlas. Okay, so like yes, but no. Yeah, everything would float away if they got bumped. But set, maybe is it restitution? There's a setting, like one of the components you can add will make objects have slow down even without hitting things. Like it's like friction but with the air, you know. So setting that will mean that things won't just move forever once they're bumped. And if you're doing top down, then gravity is actually up, which in a 2D game engine, 2D physics engine isn't rendered. So they can't float away, because without gravity, in like the context of your physical world, they'd be flying towards the camera, which they can't actually do. So yeah, they would skid around on the ground. So you need to set, I think it's restitution, to like a high value, so that if they get bumped, they have the equivalent of sliding on the ground, as opposed to like gravity pulling them back down. So just so people that don't aware what I'm doing, I've got an optional ID, and if you don't set the ID, if you don't set the ID, it'll do the same thing we're doing there. It'll call it Atlas, and it will insert it as the default asset. If you do, however, specify an ID, it will rename the asset that you, like the label that you need to use to get the Atlas, to being the ID underscore Atlas, and then set the actual animation to being that ID. So this should mean that, I believe, when I export this, you need to say some. Okay. And I believe there's something you can do, like serde default. Is it going to complain? Okay, and the serde default here will mean that if you don't specify an ID, it'll be none. It'll just use the default value. So ID doesn't have to be specified. So if I run this test now, it should print out curly braces, then solid, our data. Nope, it's square brace. This is why I always test this stuff. So I just need to wrap this in square brace. So this is going to be called mask. And so we go dirt. Okay. We'll do that. For niceness, we'll put that there. And we'll tab all that in. Alright, so 20 FPS, 30. So then we can go. What's the path? It's like main character, mask dude, idle. so we should probably actually do this for not mask, but what was it? It was, let's do pink. Nope, not working. Rename pink. All right, so pink here is going to be main characters slash pink man slash pink man idle space 32x32.png. And the idle animation is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 2, 4, 11. Okay. So it's 1 by 11. I think that's how you. Yeah, the easy way to go is back here. Go in my. It's in here. No, that's so in here. Here. Okay, so yeah, 11 and 1, none. Yep, okay. And it's a 20 FPS. So we come back up to our animation. So we have 11, 21. Okay, so this one, we don't have the ID specified. So this is our idle. And then in theory, we should be able to do this. This, go here and say we need fall. Fall is only a single, so fall is 1, and our FPS is just 1. Okay, next is jump. Jump. Alright, so we also need to say ID. ID. ID, and that is some fall. Okay, then we need here, say ID some jump. Okay, jump is also 1 FPS, 1 animation. So full jump, we'll copy this because I've added stuff. So then next is DOU double jump 20 FPS. I don't know how long double jump is. Double jump is 6 columns. 6 double jump. Jump. Double jump. Okay, so double jump, 20 FPS and 6. Okay, and then we need to run. So paste this here. This one's going to call run. Run. Running is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12. Run. Not fun. Run. Okay. Double jump, fall, idle, jump. Okay. So in theory, we come back to our animations. So when we load this stuff, right, so we shouldn't need to generate the atlases or anything anymore. so we should be able to say, what was it? It's map.add. We need the ID. So this is going to be animation pink guy idle. And then we should be able to say asset server.load. And we just need to load animations slash pink dot san dot run. Okay, so that should be our idle animation, and then in theory it can be like, how many do we need? Like 5. Fall jump, double jump, run. So 5. Okay, so this one would be fall, jump, double jump, and run. Then, for those that haven't watched the asset server, run. Go get the correct spelling, because I've apparently misspelt double jump all this time. Double jump. We go back to here. We say we need to get double jump. Double jump. So then we're just going to quickly rename. Actually, it'll be probably better to go find and replace that with that. Let's see, there'll be errors somewhere else, I'm sure. Nope, all the animations are done in the animation section. Alright, double jump. So we should go back here and go, did we do space? Let's just go without the space, because I like that better. Okay, so double jump. Then you are jump, and you are run. Oh no, you're fall. Fall. Okay, so that should load all of Pink Guy's animations. All that without me having to do all of this monstrosity in order to get it to work. Interesting. Guy not loaded. Ninja not loaded. Animation not found. Guy not loaded. Okay, so animation not found. It's also printing it. Animation not loaded and animation not found, both being printed. So we need to go somewhere. In our, it's not in here, it's in here. We need to go animation. Animation not. Okay, here's the lowercase one. We have 2 that have the same. So this is add frame time, but that's not the problem. Where's the capital one coming from? There. This one's probably the more important one to find. So it's saying that whatever handle I give it isn't loaded. So you're saying it's not loaded. Why is it not loaded? Pink. This is where we go back into our loader and debug things. So we hand this to Pink. So it would be idle that's not loaded. Did we get an error in the loader? The loader spit it out. Too much stuff's gone past. So this is one of those hilarious things that I've done multiple times where I'm trying to debug something and the error is just in the console. No asset loader found fit. Yep, okay. There's the issue. Just read the error. It will tell you all you need to know. Add asset loader. Asset loader. Hey. Okay. I'm going to say main. I'm going to say run now. So with the asset loader created, that should result in assets being able to be loaded from a file. Obviously, it's not going to work into. Nope. Guy ninja. Okay. Now it's probably a typo. Let's see if that error's back. I suspect it's going to say. So it's saying no asset loader found. It's for the file extension san.ron or .ron. Extension san and ron. So does that mean I've got this wrong? Oh, .san. It's san. Kind of wish Bevy had like a auto filter for that kind of stuff, because I always do like .this, .that, but it's then, has issues because it goes, that's not the right one. Hey. Well, it's finding it. Which means it's changing now. But it's not finding the image player. So where is our texture atlas? So the texture atlas price isn't working. Handle to a texture atlas. Texture handle is none. Oops. You know what I reckon I've done? I've got a handle, but I haven't set a dependency. So this is what I mean by like loaders can get a bit complicated, because despite the fact that I got a handle, which I would assume would have called load, it didn't. So what we need to do is on each of these, we need to say texture atlas from grid. This one. It's this one. Do you take ownership? Can I just give you a reference? Since I don't want you to take ownership. Okay, then here we merely go loaded asset. This is the texture atlas. This isn't the one. Well, actually, yeah, it is. Dot add dependency, and that would be asset data dot texture path. Dot into. You suck. Loaded asset equals load asset new with dependencies. Okay, let's just change it to with dependencies. It'd be smarter just to reduce the duplicate code. So new atlas dot with dependency so if we put this here, Then we do that. We say loaded asset, except it's not loaded asset. We should probably rename that to loaded at. Okay, I don't know why you're complaining. Probably because I'm using you down here. This should also be loaded atlas. All right, so variable just, I mean, oh, because we changed that. Yeah. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm saying that our loaded atlas, so you know the asset that we're putting in and saying, hey, we need this for other things inside of our asset, has a dependency on this path. How does with dependency work? Asset path. Does asset path keep? Yeah, so asset path has. So because an asset path actually has the string, like representation, path representation, we the asset server will then call load if that asset that it depends on is not actually loaded yet. Okay, we got cute. Hey, it's pink guy. Oh man, I need a cough. Oh, have a drink and that'll fix that. Alright. So, this is our asset loading done. I think that's everything I need to do to get the asset loading working. So, if you guys want to see something else, while I quickly go through and implement this for the other two characters that currently don't have it, and I guess for the default one, the mask man as well. If you want to post in the chat what you would like to see me do next, or if not, I'll just go and see if I can find my controller and try and implement controller input for the game. Control F, Pinkman, replacing Pinkman with virtual guy, mask dude, virtual guy, ninja. Like ninja frog. Ninja frog. Ninja frog. That should be all the main characters loaded. down here, down here. So that's the strawberry. So what we would want to do is come, I think, yeah. Okay. I want to go here, I want to say like, this is pink, pink man. This is pink man. And this is mask dude. And then we just go here, go mask. Then we come over here and go That's annoying. And this is called mask. 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 Alright. We'll just cut this, move it up here, just, you know. No, not mank, mask. Okay. So we'll say pink man down here. And we'll say you and you. So you, instead of being called pink, are called ninja. 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 Okay. Instance of ninja. Okay, and the other one is, I don't remember. It's down here. Guy. Okay, so I did get that correct. So this is ninja frog, and this is ritual guy. It was so neat. Okay, that, oh, we still need the texture atlas because we don't have the collectible in there yet. Should probably do that. So we'd go new file. And this would be called collectibles dot sprite animation dot run. And then we would just be like, and then, so 20 FPS, 16 by 16, it is 17 long. It's 1 by 17 if I remember correctly, and your path is items fruit PNG strawberry. Might be 16. I think it's 16. If I go items, fruit. No, they feel like they're 32. They're just rendered as 16. because the thing doesn't match the size. So they are 32. So review 117 strawberry. Okay, and so your ID is some strawberry. Okay, so let me go save your stuff, save yours, save yours. Don't need you, ninja. Wait, how did I end up renaming you wrong? Dot say. Alright, we go here. We go. Okay, so then we have strawberry in collectibles. So we come down here and we say we do the same thing. Let's just paste this here for a second. So collectibles. So it would be load, and this is called strawberry. It's called animation collectibles. I guess we'll go capitalize that because it's supposed to be strawberry. Okay. Okay, strawberry. Fruit strawberry. Mod loading. Okay, so this means that we can get rid of this entire resource scope. Wait, we don't even use the sprite assets. We don't use any of this. So we can take the asset scope out entirely. Save that, run that. Alright, so that should, in theory, load all of our things that we need in one go. Another advantage of doing it this way is that we get a hot reloading if we want to enable hot reloading. Strawberry's not working. Animation not found. Now, is the issue that it's called strawberry? I thought I copied this exactly. Okay, what did you? Okay, what? Expected comma. My bad. Anyway, command run, restart. Beauty of doing things in files as well. No asset loader found for the extension PNG. PNGS. Did I mistype something? How did I put PNGS on the end? Okay. Well, at least you don't have to recompile to do this kind of debugging. Yay! Oh, well, and it crashed. You have no idea what that crash was. Index out of bounds. The len was 6, but the index was 10. Something didn't set that right. Which doesn't make sense. Because you shouldn't be able to change it without resetting it. Anyway, that's a bug for later. I think I'll just implement gamepad inputs for my control for my player, and that'll be the end of the stream for today. Just because it's already been like 2 hours. The plan was to make the assets, the animations into assets, because that's what's going to be doing in the next video. So this is all the coding that took into that. The next video will hopefully be out next Saturday. Yeah, I managed to keep it up for 3 weeks in a row, so hopefully 4. Let's just rename this and say yeah, so if you guys want to see something specific, just let me know. I'll show it. But I may not be able to do this because I don't know if I'll be able to find my controller. Alright, never mind, scrub that idea. I can't find my controller. I hope you've all enjoyed the stream. I'm going to end it here then, since I don't have any idea what else to do. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I will hopefully be doing more live streams. And I'll see you in the next one. And if you want to leave a comment in the on this video, if the VOD's there, saying what you want to see next, I will see you then. Nope, that's Discord.